Hello, good morning, and welcome to this webinar with the Spain-US Chamber of Commerce, or good afternoon, depending on where you are located right now. Thank you so much for being with us today. As always, we will try to address a very interesting topic and try to dive in a little bit about the technicalities, and we try to get things or provide things useful for our attendees. But before I tell you about today's speakers and what are we going to talk about, which is staying competitive and innovative, not only with ChatGPT, but with artificial intelligence in general. I just would like to remind everyone that from the Spain-US Chamber of Commerce, we host a number of activities during the year, not only webinars like this one, but also in-person events. And we invite you to take a look to all the things that we do in our website, which is www.spainuschamber.org, and check there all the activities and the services that we provide from the Spain-US Chamber of Commerce. Today's webinar, as always, we will share the presentation with all the attendees, and we will also share the video. This session is being recorded, so we will also share the video. That way you will be able to share it with your friends and colleagues that couldn't make it today. And also, as always, you will be able to check this video in our YouTube channel at the Spain-US Chamber of Commerce YouTube channel. You can check that out, where we host a lot of different topics that we've focused on the last 3 years. So I encourage you to take a look to our YouTube channel and get a sense of all the different topics that we've been addressing, that I'm sure that many of them are going to be very helpful for you. And last thing, so after the presentation, we will address some questions. So if you have questions about anything that is going to be discussed today, you can please ask those questions and we will address all of them at the end of the presentation. But you can send your questions right now during the presentation. You can send the questions. You don't need to wait until the end to send those questions. And in order to do that, it's quite easy. You just need to click on the tab that says questions in your control panel, or maybe it says preguntas, depending on the language that it's set up your control panel. But there should be a tab that says questions or preguntas. You can click there, write your questions, send it up. We will receive all the questions and we will address all of them at the end of the presentation. And now, without further ado, today we are going to talk about staying competitive and innovative with artificial intelligence. That's been a hot topic for the last months. Everybody's talking about it, but it's a reality. It's here today. There are a lot of incredible tools available for everybody to use, and especially for companies. And it's something that at one point or another we are going to use. So the sooner we get familiar with them, the sooner that we'll learn effective ways to use those tools, well, we will get better results in no time. And that's what our guests today are going to talk about. The company that we invited today, it's Nomad Mood. For those of you that don't know the company, they are a digital transformation leader since 1994. That's quite in the past. They excel integrating talent, technology, and business expertise. They serve over 500 clients globally, and the firm operates in 7 countries: Spain, Italy, Portugal, United Kingdom, the United States, of course, Uruguay, and Morocco, boasting a team of 2,400 professionals specialized in architecture, development, system integration, and managed systems. Nomad Mood prioritize industry best practices. And today, to talk about this, we have 3 distinguished speakers. We have Eduardo Yadó, Gerardo Pereira, and David Garcia. Eduardo Yadó serves as the commercial director for Nomad Mood US, bringing over 25 years of experience in the technology sector. His role is responsible for various key initiatives, including expanding the commercial base, establishing vendor channels, and collaborating with a team to deliver best of breed solutions and exceptional customer service. Gerardo Pereira, with 15 years in software and business development, is an experienced manager, adept in projects and team management, service delivery, and solution architecture. He's proficient in agile methodologies and ITIL 4 certified. He's successfully overseen diverse projects and is holding a postgraduate degree in artificial intelligence. He's specialized in machine learning, data science, and natural language processing. And we also have today David Garcia. He was born in Jaén, Spain. He received his computer science and PhD degrees from the University of Granada. His doctoral dissertation was on fuzzy rule-based learning algorithms, and he worked as a visiting lecturer in the computer science department at Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York. And he's currently working as senior data scientist at Norman Mood. His research interests include large language models and the development of classic machine learning models. So we have the three right people today to talk about artificial intelligence and how to use it in our businesses. So welcome, the three of you. Thank you so much for making the time for being with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Juan Carlos, and thank you everybody for joining us. Good morning or good afternoon, depending where you guys are located. As Juan Carlos gave you a little bit of background on Nomad Mood, but yes, we've been in business since 1994, and we have global presence in over 7 countries out there. We are a growing company. We are at around 2,400 employees, and that is growing quite a bit with acquisitions worldwide. Currently, within Nomad Mood, we have 23 different technology communities, out of which we're going to work with or discuss AI specifically for today's presentation. Last year, we had revenues of $167 million, and it's 21% over 2022. Within our AI, artificial intelligence line of business, we call it line of business, we have over 180 professionals. They're specialized. And as you can see, the background is from machine learning engineers and scientists, prompt engineers, data scientists, data engineers, computer vision engineers, and natural language processing engineers, or called NLP. Within the AI line of business, we have over 50 customers and have completed over 80 projects. Our main partners within the AI sphere is Microsoft Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud Platform. Beyond AI or AI community, I like to mention these other communities, which is DevOps, Agile, QA, which is quality assurance, cloud, and data management. When we come to recognize solutions for management of products, it's very important that we have a solution to manage our AI projects that are recognized by our customers. This solution enables us to mitigate risk, deliver value early in the process, and make informed decisions efficiently. Now with this, with the background, a little bit of background on Nomad Mood, I'll pass it on to my colleague, Gerardo Pereira.
Thanks, Eduardo. So we will start diving into the amazing world of AI. So we will start with understanding the conversational AI. And first of all, we will stay in where are we? So to begin with, we will do a brief overview on where are we. And if we remember, January 2023 was the month of the world woke up with the possibilities of AI with the arrival of ChatGPT. OpenAI creation, this chatbot provoked a great fascination as it allows to users the chat with a computer in a way surprisingly human. It was definitely the year of the AI. The AI ate the internet, as the screenshot shared. So ChatGPT appeared on the scene with 1 million users in 5 days, and it was for us a wake-up call and let us recognize the power of AI, not just in mundane tasks, like, for example, a Netflix recommendation when we see a movie, but in our own communication when we have to create and collaborate with others. But ChatGPT wasn't alone. So some similar offerings like Google Bar, Microsoft Bing, and Meta's Llama and Anthropic Claude, that is the last icon with an A, become like the next generation AI assistant. Suddenly, it felt like the internet was alive and animated by the intelligent systems. So 36 billion was the investment in last year in AI. This is a big amount of money, but what exactly can generative AI can do? So from writing code, designing products, and crafting marketing strategies. So we can see also the potential in legal documents and customer service. Now let's take a moment to consider this intriguing tweet from Andre Karpati. Many of you maybe know him. And in his tweet, he says, "English is the hardest new program language." This statement, while seen provocatively, holds deep meaning in the context of generative AI, because large language models are trained on massive amounts of text data, essentially learning the nuances of human language. So this allows those models to understand and respond to our prompts and in a natural language fashion. So eliminating the need for us to complex coding syntax. In a sense, you can program these ChatGPTs using plain English, making AI more accessible and user-friendly. And how about Microsoft? So they are making their biggest keyboard changes in decades and adding an AI button that is amazing for all of us. So this ease of use in the generative of AI, for example, this article that suggests that generative AI, we will reviewing this in the next slide, could automate almost the 10% of tasks in the US economy. And that raises the concerns about the job displacement that many of us are wondering what will be happening. So take, for example, the Google's strategy. For example, they are using significant stock compensation to retain the top AI talent. So in this, they highlight the high stakes in this dynamic sector. So moving forward, you may wonder what a parrot can do in the AI world. So this is just like an image that represents the concept called stochastic parrot. This term was used by the linguistic Emily Bender and the other co-authors that are listed below the presentation. The idea behind the stochastic parrot is the large language models are not truly intelligent. They are just simply able to mimic human language very well. They are trained on massive amounts of text data and then using that data to generate new text that is statistically similar to the text we have been seeing before. So, however, it is important to remember that they do not understand the meaning of generated text. They are simply able to produce text that is grammatically correct and that follows the patterns of human language. So what does it mean for us? So it means that it's important for us to be aware of the limitations of AI models. So we should not rely on them to make important decisions or to provide us with deep insights. However, AI models can still be valuable tools. They can be used to automate tasks, to generate creative text, as we have seen all over the world, and to help us to process information more quickly. So moving forward, we will review the key concepts. So in order for us to make it easy or for you guys to understand certain technical concepts, we decided to use an analogy of a day-to-day chef. So we have in the following picture a chef or two chefs that are working in a recipe, and the analogy goes as follows. For example, the chef learns recipes, understands the different flavors of ingredients, and then uses their creativity to cook new dishes. So in the similar way, generative AI is similar because it uses the data and models to create new and original images, videos, audios, and text. So what is reinforcement learning? This is the other concept that is going around all the AI tools. So in this case, for example, we have to imagine that a chef that is learning to cook, and she follows some recipes, but also experiment. So when she is tasting their creation and adjusting based on the feedback, his own feedback, he or she is in a trial and error loop, and with rewards for dishes that are well made and penalties for the ones that are burned. So in this way, or in this process, the model itself becomes more adapted to the needs of the users. So what is LLM? So for example, generative AI has a broader scope and includes any topic content creation like LLM. For example, this is like a chef who has general knowledge, and it's great for basic tasks, but it lacks in, for example, specific flavors, if we can talk in that way. And for a generative that is more concise, GPT is like a specific instance for a large language model and uses a transformer architecture. This is just a technical explanation, just for you to understand that ChatGPT goes for the chat generative pre-trained transform. So this chef, what it does is create blends and infusing specific domains like writing something specifically. And finally, that many of you can recall is the fine-tuning that we can correspond to, for example, our grandmother's secret sauce. For example, is taking a pre-trained model and adding our unique twist for specialized tasks. So this is like a broad overview of the concept that we would like to share with you. So this is all great, but we have challenge ahead and we will have to face them. So as a company. So the graph that you see here is from a survey for almost 3,000 researchers at 6 leading AI conferences, and it shows the level of concern about potential challenges generated by AI. So just to name some of them, we can say, for example, the potential, for example, for generating actually inaccurate, harmful, or biased information. For example, we can recall the Google's Bard that it says when you use the prompt, he invented the information about that the James Webb Telescope was something specific. And for example, Microsoft Bing insists that the Billie Eilish performed on a Super Bowl in the last year. So we have seen some kind of hallucination and some bias in those models that are available for free for us, and we have to take account those challenges and we have to work with them. So we also have, for example, data security and privacy concerns. For example, the large language models require access to large amounts of data, probably data from our own company, which raises a concerns about the data security and privacy. So the other big thing is the potential for bias and decision making. So many times these models are used for making decisions, for example, whether to not approve a loan application or recommend a course of treatment in the medicine field. So we have to pay attention on the bias that are existing in those models. So the last one is the lack of explainability and transparency. So it can be really difficult for us to understand these models and how to work beneath the ground. So this is something that we have to pay attention. So we would like to share with you guys like this specific report from McKinsey that estimates that a generative AI could automate up to 30% of the jobs in the United States by 2030. So this is a significant number, and it's important to start thinking about how we can prepare for this change. So those most affected are professionals in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, among others. This chart lists 22 affected occupations, and we found that the occupation that is most likely to be impacted by generative AI are those that involve a lot of routine tasks such as data analytics, content creation, and customer service. The automation of jobs by generative AI will have a number of implications for workers and business. And for workers, it's important to start thinking about how their skills might be affected by automation. They might need to retrain or upskill to stay competitive in the job market. So what can we do to address this challenge or minimize the potential risk if we are starting with an AI project? Well, for this, we are sharing the insights of achieving successful projects based on our own experience. So we will start from a strategic point of view. We first have to get the leadership on board. So the support is crucial for securing the resources and organizational changes. So we also have to assemble a diverse team with expertise in data, technology, and the specific domain that we want to reach. We also have to define the project objective as any other project, and we will have to have a user feedback loop. If we are talking about governance, we will have to constantly monitor our model for potential pitfalls, the ones that we were talking earlier, the bias, the hallucinations, and we need to keep stakeholders informed and build trust about the process, because this is a specific kind of project that many of our colleagues don't know how to treat them. So we also have to define like a plan. For example, if something or our model starts to be misused, if it's malfunction, or if it's producing bias in his outputs. So if we think about the technical standpoint, we will have to have a high quality data. So as we talk, unbiased data is the fuel for our artificial intelligence models. And we have to invest in gathering and cleaning data. So this is something that is pretty important. So we also need to secure our systems and double check every responsible for reliable results. We have a model, and we have to monitor the results in a daily or weekly manner, just to know that we have the same confidence of using that model, because he probably will reuse some data, and could be that the results can be different from the ones that we expect. So we have to learn as we go. This is like approach that many times we follow. We start small, like probably with a POC, and if you can, many times you cannot choose models that can be explained in any way about the decisions that they are making internally. And also invest in your team's knowledge to stay ahead of the curve. So the next one is the additional ones that we would like to share with you guys, and is the staffing. We have to maintain the roles for the company, and we have to equip our team with the necessary skills to navigate the artificial intelligence world. So we will also have to train our users on how to interact with our artificial intelligence in an effective way. So we also have to encourage exploration, because this is pretty new for all of us. The things are changing all day, so we have to be in a group and working together to get the best results. And communication is key. As any other project, keep informed everyone, from executives to the end users. We also have to build trust, because this is a singular project that many of our PMs could be the best time that they will have to handle a project of this characteristic, and maybe they have to learn new things about how to handle these specific projects. So I will now hand over to our colleague David so we can review a demo, but first he will talk us about our success story.
Thank you, Gerardo. Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you for coming to this webinar. I will talk a little bit firstly about the experience we had in a client called Parques Reunidos, which is basically a branch responsible for managing different amusement parks all over the world. They wanted to address some issues, some problems related to some departments inside the company. And we got in touch with LLMs, large language models, a year ago in order to address these issues or these problems they had. So basically, we talked or we handled 4 different approaches, 4 different problems related to different departments in Parques Reunidos. One of them was I'm going to show. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. One of them was related to one of them was related to point of sales terminal, where people who was working in the stores at the end needed to create or generate some reports to take into account the products they had sold during the week, and with the idea to replace the items according to some frequent of replacement. So the idea was to avoid technical or technical specialists to handle these kind of issues and let them access the information from database in an autonomous way. Okay, so that's the first solution we worked on, the translation from natural language to SQL language, and let the people who is not technical when working with SQL language to make queries to SQL databases. Okay. The second problem we addressed in Parques Reunidos was to let users to make questions to the information appearing in the website associated with each amusement park. And in that way, users would be able to book tickets, to check for some specific information, and so on and so forth. The third problem was related to the CRM, for people in the company to be able to make some queries to the updated information inside the CRM. And lastly, also for some departments which were responsible for our automated accounting processes to handle information inside Excel files. Okay, so these are the 4 main problems that they wanted to handle in this client called Parques Reunidos. Well, once we have seen this experience, now we will move to see a demo which is related to the first use case I mentioned, so the translation from natural language to SQL language. As you can see in the screen, when I'm loading the application, the user interface, by default we have one question which makes a request to the SQL database. The problem we are handling here, or the content of the database is related to products, stores, chains of stores, transactions, and this kind of problems, this kind of information, sorry. As I mentioned, here by default we load a question in order to show the output, first output of in the user interface here. But we will be able to make some other queries related to the content or the information contained in the database. And here, for instance, we could make another question, which would be, for instance, which state appears in most transactions. Okay, this is one question. Sorry about the delay. This is not directly related with the speed associated with the large language model, but with the user interface, which has been developed through Streamlit. And here we can see the result. Okay, so the state that appears in most transactions is New York State with 1,271 transactions. This is an easy way to communicate with the database and let people. Well, at the end, we are not doing any SQL query here. So we are working with a natural language query. Under the hood, the system is making a call to a large language system and asking to the large language system to return the SQL query. Okay, and later on we run the SQL query. I will talk a little bit more about the architecture that is developed or that is working, as I mentioned, under the hood. But I wanted to show few more questions here. One important thing here is that we don't have to trust the large language model. I mean, the large language model is gonna return something. Sometimes, most of the times, it is gonna return something. Some other times will maybe give us an error depending on the situation. But we may have an answer, of course, but that doesn't mean that the answer is correct. So it's our responsibility to check whether a response is correct or not. In this sense, I'd like to briefly show you a notebook where we check for these results. So here in this notebook, let me show you that for this specific question, okay, which state appears here. For this specific question, sorry about the scroll, which state appears in most of transactions, we have done the calculations also in Python with Notebook to check whether the response is correct or not. And here we can see that New York State is the one that appears in most of the transactions with 1,271 transactions. Okay, this is just something I wanted to mention because when we work with large language model or large language models, it is very important to check whether the response is correct or not. If we try with some other question, more difficult questions, we could try with, for instance, group the income by city and return the top 10 in descending order. Give the city names and the total income. Okay, so let's wait for a while to let the system provide a response. And here again, this is a little bit more difficult query. Again, we are always working with natural language, and at the end, I will show you in a while how all this works. I just wanted to show you the application and let you have an idea how all this work. Again, here we have grouped by incomes the cities, and we have New Orleans with 54,676, and so on. New Orleans, Memphis, San Diego, and these are the cities together with the total income. Again, if we go to the notebook where we have the calculations and all the procedures to check whether the response is correct or not, we have again the question, and here, as you can see, we have the same output, right? So I want to strongly recommend that you guys, when you work with LLMs at the end, it is very important to check the results. Okay, some important things I wanted to mention is how all this work, as I told you, how all this work. Specifically for this use case, please feel free if you have any questions. We will be glad to answer at the end. The architecture that is under the hood, under all this behavior, or that makes that all this work, is the following one that is that you are seeing here. Okay. Firstly, we have to say the LLM, or we have to give the LLM some clues about the tables, the description of the database, and all this kind of information in order for it to have an idea and be able to make the queries and the correct queries. Okay. So our first work was to provide, when we do the connection when we establish the connection with the database, I forgot to mention that we are working under Microsoft Azure, so we are working with OpenAI under Microsoft Azure. We are also working with SQL database, and as I was saying, first of all, we have to explicitly provide some information about the database description with the tables, with the fields inside every table, the type of every single field, together with a few short examples. That information is passed in the moment we are making the link to the database. Okay. When the user here makes a question, then this information that is given in this icon here, where it says table and column description, is given together with a prompt, and the prompt contains, on the one hand, the text query, the user query, and some specific instructions. We provide some clues, and which is kind of a cheat sheet in order to avoid some errors I will tell you about later. And we send this query in natural language to our model. Particularly here, we are working with GPT-3.5 Turbo, and the large language model will respond, will answer with the query in SQL syntax, which responds to the user query. Once we have the sentence, or the sentence in SQL syntax, we will send it and we will run against the SQL database. So we will run the SQL sentence against the SQL database, and the response will be sent and transformed in the specific format the user wants. It may be JSON format, pandas data frame format, whatever the format. The format the user wants to handle at the end, and that will be returned to the final user. Okay, I was talking about some issues that we may encounter, we may find when working with large language models, and some of them are related to hallucination. So large language models may or can make up a new table, non-existent tables, fields, etc. We also may find that we can also have syntax errors, but we have some ways to recover from syntax errors. So we have syntax checkers inside our functions. But the most difficult problem to address when working with this particular use case, from the translation from natural language to SQL syntax, is related to queries which are translated to the right syntax in SQL, but which do not address the exact question or the exact user question. Okay, so this is the most difficult problem to address right now. Here, as I mentioned, I talked about one cheat sheet. We had to give the large language model in order to help it to find the right SQL sentence that addresses or responds to the user question. And I just wanted to show you the one problem that we may find. This is specifically thought for databases where tables and fields are very well described. So if we have a table with fields or columns like ID_1, ID_2, and so on and so forth, this will not work properly. Here in this particular example, we had this problem to address. Here we have table stores where the store field contains the ID, and it also has one field called description. But when we go to transactions table, here we can see that the store field has the description, and is the field store_ID the one that contains the store ID. So as you can see, there is not a direct match among the two tables, and that's the main reason why we have to give or provide the large language model with that cheat sheet that says, okay, table stores is related to transactions through the fields that one and that one. Okay, and I think that's all I wanted to mention for this particular demo. Now my mate Gerardo is gonna talk to you a little bit about some other experience we had, and I will prepare in the meanwhile the second demo.
Thank you, David. So moving forward, while David is setting up the new environment, so I will review if maybe if we can, I am not sharing the screen, but maybe the one who is sharing the screen, maybe we can go for the evolution of software developers. This is one of the main or the key suggestions that the industry is pushing. So we have a McKinsey study that shows, for example, an hypothetical study where, for example, at Serena, works as a developer, and she has currently doing a mixing of activities. So in this way, okay. Okay, so as we are seeing in the screen, Serena is currently having a mix of activities. So she is writing software code, she's doing so code reviewing, and the study works in the way that in the future she will be, by the generative AI automation, she will be doing other activities. For example, the ones that are related with the code will be reduced, and new ones will be, or for her, has to be work or develop. For example, the ones that are related with security protocols, or collaborating with other peers or from other teammates. She will also increase the research and development innovation. This is one of the approach for upskilling and reskilling. So maybe you can start working in this approach in your own company, just to probably making a table with the skill set of your development team or the teams that are working together, and providing like a future scenario in which they will develop new skills, or they will be facing challenges, but with new trainings that you will be providing. And for that, we will have to plan all of this, because this is like that is something that is taking us by surprise, and we should have to work immediately. So this is one of the McKinsey studies. We can provide you more information, and I will take the lead again to David, and maybe he already upload the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerardo. Yeah, it's everything. Here we go. Everything is prepared right now. I'd like to share my screen if possible. Thank you. Okay, I hope you are all seeing the screen. This is the second demo, which is related to the, most of you probably have heard about RAG, or Q&A, question answering over some documents. Specifically, this answers some needs of companies to be able to make some queries directly to the documents they have in order to look for some specific information. So here, even if it is true that the information here is in Spanish, we just wanted to show you how all this works. So basically here what we have is a preloaded document, and in this through this user interface we are able to make some questions to these documents, those documents. Okay, together with the question we will get a response from the large language model, and together with the source document where the information is contained. Very briefly, this works in the following way. When we have a set of documents, they are split into chunks of the same size, more or less, and then the chunks, which are text at the end, must be converted into numbers. So they are converted into vectors of numbers through an embedding. The embedding here is you're also using Azure OpenAI and TextAda model. And once we have our vector store database, we do the same thing. So we translate the user question to vector index. Okay, we recover those chunks which are similar to the user question, and this will be the context of the large language model to respond. So with that content and the user question, the large language model will be able to provide an answer. The answer won't be literally the same as one of the chunks. Now, the large language model will generate text taking into account that information. So here we have some information preloaded, which is related to information of our company, and we will make some questions related, for instance, with the nursery, or in Spanish, ticket guardería. Let me show you. Sorry. Okay, so if one employee, like me, for instance, want to know if I have any benefits from my company, I can ask directly to the system that contains the information of the company related to that specific field I'm interested in, and will provide the response. Here we can see that the answer is that ticket guardería is a payment method that allows to pay in every nursery and so on. I can make the question again. And ask it to provide the answer in English. Let's see if we correctly understood. It takes little time to respond, but it's related to the user interface framework. Here we are. So we have the ticket guardería is a payment method that allows you to pay for all associated nurseries throughout our provider, Android. Okay, so this is the large language model response, and these are the source documents where this information is where the information appears. Again, as I mentioned before with the other use case, it is important to check whether the response has to do with the real content of the document or not. And I can show you here, sorry, the index starts from 0, the documents start from 1. So here the number is the page of the document, but we have to add 1 to every page here. So if we look at the, I'm going to, sorry, let me show you the document. Here is the document, and if we look at this source, we can see that the document is ticketguarderia.pdf, page 0. Page 0 is associated with page 1 because by default it starts counting from 0. Here it will be first page, and here is the definition of ticket guarderia, the company that gives the service, and some of the information that is used by the large language model to provide the response. I think we are very some kind of out of time, so I'm gonna stop here. And any questions, I will be glad to respond to any question that you may have with related to these both of these use cases. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your presentations, and let's dive in some of the questions. So if any of you from the attendees, are we going to the questions, Eduardo?
Yes, we do. Just real quick, two
Yeah.
things I like to just at a high level. The first case is where Familiarize needed to provide data for their stakeholders or their end users, the point of sale person, to provide certain information for their work, correct? And what we did was we allowed them to ask questions in English, okay, or in Spanish, correct? And those questions are going through internally all the data that's within there. It converts that into a very specific way and it gives you the answer. So what it's allowing to do is allowing our colleagues to be able to do inquiries for information needed for reporting purposes without having to be programmers, number one. Number two is that for Q&As or customer service, you have a customer that calls in or a prospective customer calls in asking for some information. Now, that information is embedded throughout your company. You may not know exactly what it is or where it's at actually. So what you do is just ask the question. And you're asking the question in native language, whether it's English or Spanish or whatever language you're in. And that will check all the documents and bring it up and provide you with the answer. So it's a way to quickly enhance customer service to your prospective customers or to clients. So I think at a high level, on a commercial level side, every business is different, but these were two main concerns for Familiarize was I need to have my people who are working at the front line, point of sale, they have to have certain information. That information is embedded into all these data systems that we have. How can they do that without knowing programming language or access to the language per se? And the second one is I'm on the phone, I'm on the internet, someone asks a question. I may not know exactly where that, what the question is. So if I don't know what the question is, how can I write it in my language, in English, and so I get the answer? And then it searches through all the databases and it brings back an answer that you can provide your customer. And I think the third point is what David was saying was we have to be very careful with the information being valid and how we test it. So that was basically, AI. So AI, it's different applications for different customers, for different companies out there, but it really gives you tools to access the information to better handle business for your clients and improve service.
Thank you so much, Eduardo. So thank you. So let's go and resolve some questions that we have. Please remember, if you'd like to send us a question, just go to the questions tab and write down your questions, and we will take care of them right now. And we already have some questions. Let's go with the first one. What is the typical time frame for implementing a project in artificial intelligence?
It depends on the complexity of the project and the customization required and the data available. So we usually suggest starting with a proof of concept. It takes around 2 to 3 weeks. And the proof of concept is really putting to the customer, explaining to the customer, what is it, how this should work from a technical point of view, and what the end result should be. From that proof of concept, then what we're doing is we have a benchmark on where to begin with. But it could take 6 months to a year when you look at the whole process. It could take 3 months. So it depends on the size, the complexity, the requirements. Does the customer have the information in a database that we can reach that information, and so forth.
Thank you so much. Another question is, for small businesses, could we use tools like ChatGPT and set them up in a way that could help us avoiding have to invest larger amounts of money in developing a specific model for our business, at least as the first step?
I can take that one. So yeah, the available resources that ChatGPT provides us are there to be used, but as we have seen in the presentation, there are some concerns regarding the hallucination and regarding the privacy. If we are going for a free model, and there is not a privacy rule for working with that, the data that you are providing. So if you are going for a paid model, there are some regulations that OpenAI or the other providers can guarantee in some kind of way. As the same way as David was showing our own project with Parques Reunidos, we can assure that kind of privacy, but we are working with a free model. Those things should be handled in a certain way, and probably you should have a specific team just to handle those situations: hallucination, security, and biases. But yeah, can be used as a starter point.
Thank you. Thank you, so. Thank you. Another question that we have is, what assistance or support options are provided in a project like this?
I'll take that one. So we have multiple support options, alternatives. One could be a dedicated senior professional for the customer himself that helps accelerate the project. The other one is team as a service or SWAT as a service. So we offer team as a service, and it's from an experienced AI team ensuring this for the client. So he may not have the bandwidth, or he may not have the knowledge, technical knowledge to do that, and it's only for a short period of time. And the other one for mission criticals would be a 24/7 support.
Wonderful. And this, I think, that goes perfectly with another question that we have is, we are a small company and we don't have IT personnel. Do I need IT personnel to develop one of these projects in my own company?
I can take that one. So yeah, definitely you should have like a key roles. So for example, one IT guy, one domain expert, and one guy who knows about the security terms of data and privacy. They are the three main pillars when you are embracing a project like this. So you could start, I don't know, upskilling your teams. If they are not from the technical side, you can start working in a project, but you will probably have to train your users in understanding the nuances of working with LLMs. As David was saying, they are specific tools that you should use in a free way, but probably you will need like some consultant services for specific topics that you want to address. Instead of you start looking at those specific technical issues that may arise, because you can obviously start working with ChatGPT, but if you want to build a business or you want to take high-level decisions using ChatGPT, you will have to have a broader team. So yeah, you can start from yourself, but probably you will move forward contracting services for additional support.
Just something just to add on real quick is that a lot of times our customers don't have the technical staff to do that. So when Gerardo was talking about consulting side, and then we can fill in those areas. That's what we do. So you don't technically, you do need those folks that Gerardo's speaking with, but we can provide those people because some small companies just don't have the staff, and they don't want to keep that staff, correct, for that specific thing. So we're able to provide the services. But we would need to address those three areas that Gerardo was speaking of.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, because I think that the question was most oriented into that thing. I mean, I think it's a company, they would like to develop a model, but they don't have in-house an IT personnel. So do a company like yourself could provide them the development of the model without the company having to hire an IT guy? Could you do everything by yourself?
Yes, and that's where it came in. We call that team as a service. That's what we call it. So yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Perfect. Thank you so much. One question: how scalable is conversational AI models for businesses of different sizes?
I will take that one. So from a scalability point of view, as David was showing us in the demo for this specific client, we've been working with Azure, but we also have the knowledge for working with other providers like AWS and Google Cloud Platform. Why we are saying this? Because they have all solved all the process that we need to be solved in terms of scalability. If you have to handle new requests, if you have to handle new documents, if you have to handle more users or requests, that all it's been handled in a cloud environment, and it's easy for early users to enter in the space of AI if you have everything solved. So probably you can start from scratch working with a cloud provider, and then once you understand the different technical aspect, you can work in your own environment.
Wonderful. Perfect. Thank you so much. Let's see. We don't see much questions now, so it's 12:07 p.m. Eastern time, so we are just in time, just 7 minutes above the time limit. We would like to thank all of you for attending this webinar, and of course, thank you, Eduardo, Gerardo, and David, for your time. As we mentioned before, you have their contact information on the screen right now. We will share with you their contact information as well, the presentation, and also the recorder session, so that you could share with other colleagues and people that might be interested in these aspects. Please stay tuned with the Spain US Chamber of Commerce for more webinars like this one and other in-person events. You can check everything that's going on in our website, which is www.spainuschamber.com. And I hope to see every one of you in the next webinar here with the Spain US Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much again, Nomad Mood, for spending this time with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye now. Have a great week.